We just had over on Twitter. This was a doozy. There were so many good questions. There were so many resources shared. I cannot wait to get started. We'll be right back in a second, but you know how this works. Say in the comments, hello, tell us where you're watching from. Tell us how good the chat was if you were able to participate. Otherwise, if you weren't, don't worry, we're going to update you in just a second. Oh my gosh, are you still like on a high from that 30-minute chat? I feel like it went so quick. I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, and the new format just like, wow. So.
I know, oh my gosh, we have so many things to dive into. I want to talk about these questions. I think we can go a little bit deeper into a few concepts as well. Before we get into all that, would you mind introducing yourself? Tell us what the topic was in case people are tuning in and they weren't able to join us for the last 30 minutes.
Sure. So I am Kate O'Connor. I am going to be an 8th grade English teacher this upcoming year in upstate New York. And I'm really happy to be part of the Teach Better family. I'm one of the guest bloggers. Social justice is kind of my thing. I've been on here about this topic before, so I'm really excited that we had this chat tonight.
I was thrilled when I saw your name that you were hosting because you always bring your A game. The topics are always intense and you always get people thinking. And I already see somebody's asking here, like, hey, what encouraged you to choose this topic? I'd love for you to go into your backstory a little bit around why this topic is constantly what you are highlighting and discussing.
So I love that question. And I love, talking about that origin story, especially. I've always been someone with a really heightened sense of justice, from when I was like 9 years old and, looking into before I knew what anti-racist education was, just always had this heightened sense of, why aren't things fair for certain people and why haven't they historically been fair for certain people? And exploding that outward has always been something that I took on as a mission, and especially as being an educator, when people ask me why I'm a teacher, the two answers that I give are, well, I love learning and I love helping people. And that's what you get to do all day, every day as an educator. So that sense of justice for me, combined with being an educator, really landed me here and had me learn so much about not just myself and my position in the world, but other people and how to advocate for them and amplify their voices, sometimes meaning, stepping back from being the center. And that's just been something that I've cultivated as an educator, even in and out of the classroom.
Okay. I know we're live, but I want to have real talk with you because I feel like you and I have had dialogue similar to this for over a year at least. Like you and I have been able to connect not only through Twitter, but in other avenues as well. And I love talking shop about this. And I know that, you've been an advocate for all students forever, but I love that you continue to highlight this need. Tell me a little bit about how this chat was different than other conversations that you've led in the Teach Better family, because truly you are known as a go-to person to ensure that we are supporting and reaching all of our learners. So what made today different? Because it absolutely was not just duplicated questions trying to get people thinking along the same lines as always.
Mm-hmm. I think that my reflection on this has been, yeah, I just saw that comment. Absolutely, Jill. Yeah. The idea that, over the summer, we kind of shift into vacation mode in our brains, not just, in our bodies, but in our heads too. And this work that I do, that we all are picking up, doesn't stop, right? Injustice doesn't end just because June happened, right? Our students aren't suddenly living an equitable life just because they're no longer part of our class. So the work continues, just like our students' lives continue, and just like our marginalized students' lives continue. So the more we can pick up over summertime while, everybody's resting, we're kind of like doing push-ups in the parking lot. That's how I look at it, So this topic is more important to me than ever, especially in a moment like this, where we're faced with dealing with intersectionality. Last year, when all of this kind of exploded in the consciousness of everyone, and there's layers of, we've needed to care about this for a really long time, but here we are, right, arriving at this moment where there is no looking away, and that persistence with it over the summer is that, training people not to look away. Just because we're on vacation doesn't mean the work ends, doesn't mean, our students' lives can't be improved with our help.
Okay, I have to pause you there. If you are watching this stream right now, we are streaming on 2 places on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Share this stream with one of those quotes that you just said. Because whether it be just because we're on summer vacation doesn't mean the work should end, or anything in between. You've had so many incredible just moments, not only within the chat, but even just within these past 6 minutes. I'm challenging all of you. Pause where you are. Don't pause this video. Just stay here. Share this thread wherever social media you're on and use these quotes, because we got to start pulling people into this conversation. You and I have had this dialogue, 100 times, that we can't stop talking about things just because the news picks up the next hot story, right? And that was a big concern that I know you've been advocating for, against, wanting to ensure that this isn't just like the hot topic right now and then something else is happening, so let's just move on, even though we haven't solved the problem or even like begun to take the steps we need to take.
Right. And as educators, we are in a tremendous position of power. There's a dynamic that we belong to that we need to be aware of and utilize. Last year, when the whole summer sort of became about demonstration, I called it the Black Square debacle because people posted it and then they were done, right? And that's really the essence of why I'm here right now, talking to you right now, having this chat, writing the post that I wrote that was published last week is, we're not done, right? As long as there's inequity that our students are dealing with and going home with every day, or even living in our school buildings with, we're not done, right? And that performance of allyship and solidarity needs to be more than performance. That's why, that last question that I asked was, what are you committing to, right? It's not just what did you do? What did you see? What did you read? It's what are you committing to? What are you going to do to change the lives of your students in the next 365 days or 180 days, right? Because thinking back to that Black Square, right? It was invented by Black women to raise awareness and get those resources out there. But then allies started flooding Instagram with it, and it just drowned all those resources out. Right. So, and in effect, right, because of that, nothing got to be changed. Nothing got different. So what are we doing to move beyond, I did my job, I checked the box, right? And asking ourselves, since I posted that square, what has been different in the lives of the students who need me the most?
It's interesting. You had 4 very powerful questions. And for those of you listening, if you're unfamiliar with how the chat works, you can either see the chat by going to Twitter right now, searching #TeachBetter, and reading through the past half an hour of conversation. You could also go to teachbetter.com and read the questions right there. It even has the times in which they were shared. And one of the questions that really resonated with me is the same one that Alex is talking about here, where you encourage people to share where they are learning from, who's challenging their mindset, who's doing the work right now. Because I agree. To be honest, there were a lot of people that were already in the Teach Better family. I was so proud and happy to be clicking on these names and being like, ooh, I know that person. Ooh, I follow them. Yes, I listen to that podcast. But I think it's really the first step. As an educator, if you're listening right now and you don't know what to do, go follow someone
Right.
that can get the conversation started in your bubble, because that's then the first of a multitude of steps.
Right. Yeah. And that multitude of steps. Exactly. Right. Follow them, cite them, and amplify them. Right. Where you got it from is just as important as how much you read and where did you pass it on to. Right. So knowing where our information is coming from, knowing the people who have spent their lives doing this work because it directly impacts them, right? Following by POC, like that matters. And giving them the attribution for the work that they do is the beginning of compensation.
The beginning, yes. I like them. Follow them, cite them, amplify them. Gosh, I'm telling you guys, right now, share the feed again and use that one. That was a really good one, because I love that, because truly there are so many things that we need to do better. So many things. This has got to be at the top of people's lists. And so even if your first step today is to follow them, cite them, and amplify them, so be it. And then you can take your next step tomorrow, and then your next step after lunch tomorrow, and then maybe another step before you go to sleep, and then we'll just do it again. So as you can find this balance, it does take a lot of work, but you don't have to do it alone. And I really love that your questions tonight like allowed people to see that this is a community effort, and it has to stay a community effort.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's a community effort, as I said in the chat, it's a community effort with youth at the center, right? So we need to listen to our students. We need to listen to the most historically excluded students, right? That word underrepresented, they're not underrepresented. They're just historically locked out of the conversation. So we need to unlock them out of the conversation, put them in the middle, and hear what they have to say. I shared something from Selena Carrion, who she said, we're not in the business of giving students power, empowering them. They come with it. We have to step back and allow them to use it. Not even allow them to use it, but just be there while they use it, right? So I view my role as an educator really as the facilitator of power, right? So my students are already powerful when they walk into my room, when they walk into our room. And it's my job to stand back while they access that power at all times. In the 40 minutes I'm with them, or however long I'm with them, right? In summer school right now, I'm with them for double time.
It's funny you say that, because like you're allowing them to use their power. You're kind of taking that same, like, follow them, cite them, and amplify them, right? Your job is to continue to celebrate, encourage, all those pieces, amplify the work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
Did you have a question that you asked? I know there was 4, and I already referenced, I think it was question 3, or maybe it was question 2 about the following. Did you have a question that you were nervous or excited to ask for this chat?
I think question 3, I think, is the what are you doing? Yeah. Beyond that, that surface level allyship stuff, but that phrase beyond the book club, some people are like, what do you mean? My book club is full of great discussions. And it's like, yeah, but they're discussions with people who probably already are in the same place as you are, sort of, right? Even if you're completely like, I have no awareness of this, you at least had the gumption to agree to be in the same space, which means you want to be in the same space and you want to go the same direction, right? And that is an insulated environment, more or less, so what are we doing to have these conversations with difficult people, right? With people who are not going the same direction. That's really ultimately a measure of the work, is, where can we meet people who are not going in that same trajectory, where they are, and hopefully bring them with us.
Well, and that was an interesting element of the sharing that was being done during that question is that mindset of, are you just consuming or are you taking action? I saw that as a common theme in not only your answer, but a lot of people's answers of wanting to ensure it's wonderful to be educated on new topics. It's wonderful to ask questions. Everybody on the planet should be consuming information so they each become a little bit better in these areas every single day that we can.
Yeah.
But if you are only consuming, then we're not actually enacting change. And I think that was a really important point you brought up.
I've said this to a couple people, on podcasts with Charles Williams, who I love dearly. There's this fear that I don't know enough and I'm going to screw it up, so I can't get involved yet, right?
Yeah, we talked, yeah.
You don't need to know everything in order to improve the lives of marginalized people, because no one on earth knows everything, and we all come with our own history and our own understanding. But, we all need to go, like I said, in that same direction. If we're going in the same direction, we can pick it up along the way, right? ACT UP, a famous organization that, dealt with the HIV crisis, didn't have anybody on the same page in a lot of areas, right? But they all knew that this is life or death. We need to figure this out because people are losing their lives, right? The same goes for us right now. Children are losing their lives. Children are losing their freedom to think critically, right, in certain states. Intellectual freedom is at stake here. So are we all going to be at exactly these coordinates at exactly this time? No. But do we need to go somewhere that's more beneficial to our kids? Yes. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what matters.
Oh, powerful. I know that you share a lot and you're always amplifying voices. I think that's why I enjoy following you so much, is because I grow from what you share, but I also grow from the people you connect me to. And one of the things I know that you've committed to on a very consistent basis, I even giggle when I see new blog posts from you because I'm like, again, I love it. But you do blog on this topic, and typically in your blogs, you are sharing resources and people and to-dos and assignments and challenges. So will you tell us a little bit about the blog that you have?
Yeah. So the blog I do for Teach Better is Teach Beyond. And that's exactly what the theme is, right? Going beyond the performance part, the, sit and get part of all of this, and acting, holding ourselves accountable and each other accountable for acting, right? Acting to improve the lives of students and create a more just framework for them to live and learn under, right? I reference a lot Bell Hooks, Education as the Practice of Freedom, right? That's a commitment that we can all make. And we don't have to be, like I said, in exactly the same place, but we can learn from each other. And that's really the goal that my blog sort of puts out there is, hey, if you didn't know this, it's okay. No shade, no shame. Learn it now, it's okay not to know things. It's not okay to hurt people while you don't know things, So the harm that gets done with not knowing gets a little tricky, but there's always room to say, okay, I didn't know that, and then go know it,
Kate, I'm going to have to listen back to this replay like 3 times. There's so many things you keep saying that I'm like, could you say that again slower twice? Because it's so good. Your passion oozes out of you. And I love that this isn't just hey guys, I'm really passionate about this. Super glad we had this 30-minute chat, right? It's so much more. And I want to make sure that everybody connects with you, whether it be through your blog or by following you on Twitter. I don't care how you guys connect with her, but this is important. And it's important to also surround yourself with people that can remind you it's important so that you can help others realize, recognize, and learn how important this is. And I just think you are such a invaluable resource that you are constantly bringing this to the forefront of people's minds. I just really appreciate you so much. You have no idea. Oh, so fun. So with the work that you're doing, what's like the best place for people to connect with you?
I am a Twitter person. Despite being like relatively young, I don't use Instagram that often, and everyone's like, why? And I'm like, because Twitter's more fun. I think it's always because I've been a writer and you can like actually say things on Twitter as opposed to Instagram,
Very image focused.
Kind of my wheelhouse. But yeah, Twitter is the best place to reach me. The Teach Better blog is the best place to learn from me because I have more than 160 characters to do things with.
Wow.
But yeah, those are my 2 biggest spots on the internet.
So good. Well, I just want to thank you again for hosting an outstanding chat. I know so many people are still following the hashtag, still answering those questions. I feel like that's how Twitter chats always work with Teach Better, is it happens for a half an hour, but then it continues not only all night, but then throughout the day tomorrow. If you're looking for resources, please, please, please go connect. Please continue to not only connect with everybody here, but there were so many different people that were celebrated, and those voices need to continue to be amplified. I've loved our conversations, and I just hope that everybody challenges themselves to not have this be an hour of great discussion, but truly a step in the right direction. So thank you so much for joining me live and facilitating an entirely like moving chat. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, just chaos, but the best kind. I know.
Chaos. We love chaos. It's so good. All right, guys, don't forget, we have a ton going on with the Teach Better team, including that we are bringing back the Daily Drop-In, which I hope you'll join us for. Daily Drop-In begins August 2nd, but I'd love to welcome you on as a guest at some point as well to continue this conversation. And for everybody else, if you need anything, reach out. We're always here to help you, and we hope that you have an absolutely wonderful Thursday. All right, bye, guys.